Welcome back to GymTube. Is this a deal or disaster? I've just got it off eBay, £4,500, 20,000 miles, 6 owners, no service history, and it's not running right. In today's video, we're gonna find out if we can get it running how it should with all of these parts. Now here's the sort of self-diagnosis of the problem. At 5,000 RPM, it's got a stutter, it splutters away, and it pushes through and then starts again at higher RPM. If you turn the key, sort of fires up all right. Doesn't sound too bad, it's got a little misfire going on, but we're gonna find out what that is. And you may be wondering how I'm gonna do that, and I'm praying it's just gonna be a service, like spark plugs, filters, oil, everything like that, a clean down, stripped down. We've got all these cables, clutch cables, throttle cables, all from Honda. Hopefully this is gonna sort it and it's not something worse. Now before we start stripping this bike down and finding out what's wrong with it and fitting all these amazing parts like the Crew 4 tyres and all these genuine Honda parts, I just wanna shout out Black Widow Exhaust because I contacted them for an exhaust for this bike because I think the one I chose would look really good. However, the owner was like, what's it for? And I said, I've got a YouTube channel. And he actually sponsored the video and wanted to help out a little bit, which I thought was really, really kind of him. I've used these before. They're a great product, great quality, great company. Always had a good relationship with them. So I'm really happy about this. And it sort of like hit home quite a lot. I was like, wow, he's actually really kind for doing this. You know, it's not a massive YouTube channel. So shout out to those guys. I've got all the links to this stuff in the description below. And we'll be opening this up and showing you what we put on the bike later. But I just thought I'd mention them. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, bottom right hand corner, give it a click. Get quite a lot of videos on the channel, but I'd really appreciate if you guys could hit that subscribe button a little bit more. It would help me out a bit more to make more fantastic content like this. So let's get into cleaning the bike up, stripping it all down and finding out what's up with it. And we'll quickly just go around the bike. Now these are a couple of things we're gonna change in this video because they're super annoying. We've got this squeaky clutch cable here. These grips, look at these. Shocking, just wobbling around everywhere. They're no good, so we've got some genuine Honda grips to go on there. Now I'm not so sure how they're going to turn out because I've heard they're not very good and they seem to have had some issues on the 2016 model, but we're going to fit them. Same with a throttle cable, clutch cable, make it all nice because it's all sticky. The throttle doesn't really return very well. I hate all that sort of stuff, so get all this tidied up. I'm going to do all this as well. Moving down to the bottom of the bike, this is actually a new chain and sprocket, I think, so we're going to clean all this up and hopefully it comes out really nice. Over on the front we've got these crash bars. I don't really like them in silver. I want to black more stuff out on this bike. I think it will contrast better with the gold wheels. So we're going to take them off and probably get them powder coated in black. That will look nice. The brake pads, they're like the worst I've seen. They're nearly down to the metal, which is just absolutely shocking. So we're going to be changing those out with some EBC HH compound pads, which I haven't tried, so I'm keen to get those on the bike. Bleeding the brakes up, we'll be doing all of that. And of course, changing the tyres to the Crew 4 tyres that we've got over there, because the 50/50 tyres just make these adventure bikes, they look cool. Now we're down at the back of the bike, same situation here. These pads are nearly down to the metal. This exhaust is absolutely battered. It's had some use. It's probably been over a couple of times. I think it's an old Remus can, but we're going to be changing that out for this much better Black Widow can that's going to look super cool. It's actually a full system, so it's going to be a decat. So change the pads, do the tyres, all the other bits. I'm really excited to get started, so let's get to it. Now, first thing is first for me on this bike, because it's a budget bike, I've actually just cut this off. Now, I've sort of tricked you out of it because I haven't done it now. I did it when I got the bike. I wanted to see if it worked. It was a cheap bike. I was like, no, I'm just gonna not spend 90 quid on the screen. I'm gonna just chop it off. So I took the screen off, got a jigsaw, put a nice line across it with a bit of tape and actually just cut it and sand it down. And it looks really nice, look. That's like really, really good finish. It almost looks OEM. And the reason I've done this is because the buffeting that I personally get is crazy. My head shakes loads like that at sort of 80 miles an hour. It drives me insane. So I just chopped this off and that is actually perfect. You get nothing. It's just clear, pure air in your face and it just made me super happy. So I thought I'd just drop that in there before we start taking this all apart and giving the bike a wash and getting into the nitty-gritty bit of this video. So now we stripped all the panels off and I love doing this to new project bikes, just stripping everything off it. I'll take it outside in a minute. I've covered all the hoses up and the connectors with like latex gloves with the zip ties just to stop any water going in there. I'll just take it outside and pressure wash everything, get it all absolutely pristine. And then when you start taking things off like spark plugs out, airbox off, all those bits, all the dirt's not going to get everywhere and you'll be working in muck. So we'll just clean it up as best we can and then we'll go on from there. I got stuck in with a pressure washer and cleaned up all inside the bike. I used a muck-off product, a little degreaser there, and it came out really nice. Same with the chain, a muck-off chain degreaser. Used it all around the stand, the swing arm and everything like that. It was full of grime and it came out like a brand new chain and sprocket. Really happy with that. Inside the bike kit, around all the throttle bodies and all the hoses, they cleaned up really nice compared to how it was. And I swapped out the old 4 kilogram battery for a lithium battery which only weighs 300 grams. It was like £75 off eBay, which I thought was a bargain. Now before we start fitting the heated grips, the clutch cable, the throttle cable and bits up there and wiring in all the auxiliary lights, I'm going to work on the spark plugs because you need to get all this off and able to get to the ones on the top of the cylinder. They've got 2 spark plugs per cylinder on the Africa Twin. These side ones are really easy to get to. They're all corroded, they look terrible, may have never been changed. That's probably, I'm hoping, why the bike's misfiring a little bit. But we're going to get in there, pull this off and get those out, have a look at those and see what condition they're in. Now that literally took a couple of minutes to get that off. It's a bit of a faff draining the coolant, but look at that, right in there now. You're right on top of the spark plug and there's no faffing around pulling things out of the way. It's just a couple of little bolts there and you undo them, loosen them, little clamps, pull the radiator off and then we're away. So I'm going to whip that spark plug out now, get this one out and we'll check them out. Now looking down at them there, it looks like the left plug, which is the internal on the top of the engine plug, looks like that's been running. It's hard to focus. A little bit richer, it's a bit blacker, and the other one's a bit more brown colour. So potentially the internal one's been misfiring a bit, so that plug could have a problem. This one on the right seems to have been burning quite well by the looks of things, but this one looks a bit more black. So yeah, hopefully that's the problem. And that's it. Going to repeat the process on the other side. I've fixed all this back up now. Fit that on the other side. And then we will fill it back up with coolant and we'll work on our heated grips and all the new cables and we'll get those all wired in nicely. Onto the clutch cable, so we're going to pop this off, undo these bolts here and we're going to just grease all that up. We're going to clean it with a bit of GT85 and then we're going to grease it up because it's a bit sticky there, it doesn't really flow nice and I think that will help with the feel of the clutch. So whip this off, grease it all up, get it nice, put that back on and a new clutch cable. But look at this, that was absolutely dry as a bone in there, like no grease or anything, it's even got a bit rusty. So clean that up a little bit, put a bit of grease in there. What we're going to use on it, just anything, just some clear grease. I don't like all that red lithium stuff. This stuff's a nice crystal. It's actually for mountain bikes, but it's the same thing, weatherproof. Does the job nicely. So we'll just clean this up and get some of that on there. What I like to use to clean this up is a wee bit of GT85. I think GT85 is a great product just to get removing grease and rust and crap. And you just put a bit of grease on it. It's got a bit of Teflon in it as well, so it does a nice job. Look, it just gets all that off, all that grime. And this is actually looking quite smart already. Look, it's a really good product, GT85. I love it. And we use that on the throttle as well. So when we're going to do the throttle cables, we'll clean everything. You don't grease throttles. That's how you get that nice snapping throttle. If you lube it all up with this stuff and clean it, and it just leaves a tiny bit of Teflon in there, I think, and that just keeps it flowing smart. If you start putting grease on it, it's sticky, it attracts dirt. You don't want that. You want it clean as possible with nothing on there. So we'll get onto that once I put all this back together. Now I've got that new clutch cable in. It's just crisp. Look at that. Pinging back. It's factory, so it's absolutely mint. No grip there, no squeaking how it was. It's just fluid. So that's a genuine cable, and they are the best because if you follow me down here, everything is sort of stock on it. So all the bolts and the fixings, you've got this little rubber grommet there that closes up on it. They are the best. They're a little bit more expensive, not a huge amount, but it's kind of worth it when you're doing stuff like cables, things that could really let you down on a big ride. Important to just get genuine parts that are from Honda. Now you can see in here straight away what the problem is. The throttle wire, it's so sticky. It's because it's just not been looked after. It's got loads of grease in it. We don't want that in there. We're going to clean all that out, put a new throttle cable on, and that's going to snap like it just came out the factory. So I'm excited to get that done. I hate a sticky throttle on a bike, so that's good. We're going to just unbolt all that and get cracking. Again, just getting the GT85 on here, and it's just cleaned that up so nice. And that's now ready for the new grip to go on, and it's just going to spin on there like a brand new bike. And as you can see, we're going to use the OEM heated grip from Honda. I love these grips, they're so much better than the Oxford ones. And look at that, it's just sliding on there, nothing on there, just a little bit of GT85 all wiped off, and it's just clean. It's not going to attract any dirt, and that's how you get that crisp throttle. I'm going to put all the cables back on, and you'll see in a sec how crisp it can be from just a little bit of cleaning up and a new cable from Honda. Quite possibly one of the most rewarding things you can do to a bike. Look at that, absolute crisp throttle, no sticking, and it's just perfect. And it's the OEM grips, so they're not as fat as the Oxford ones, and they're just going to work super with the heated grip system, and it will come up on the dash and everything with what number heated grips you got. So I'm very happy about that. It's done very well, and just a little bit of GT85 and new cable, and we're away. Now let's get on to wiring up all the heated grips. They're just a few plugs, so it's really straightforward. This one actually, I believe, goes into a plug down here. You've got all these blanks. So this plug here, look, you just literally take the cap off it and plug these in. So they're really, really easy to wire up because you've got all the existing looms. So I'm just going to go around, plug all those bits in. We'll glue the other grip on the other side, and then we can move on to wiring in our auxiliary lights and then start and putting all this back together and maybe get on with the exhaust system. Just as a little tip here, anyone that's fitting these themselves, I'm going to be doing this as well with heated grips. We've got Honda hand grip cement. Apparently that's the best stuff to use on these to fix this heated grip. You could probably use that on the Oxford grips as well, but apparently this is the best stuff to use, and they won't slide around like they were before. So I've cleaned that up. I'm going to put a load of this on and then slide the grip on and leave it, and that would be perfect. And while we got the bike apart, I thought I'd just wire in these auxiliary lights which will sit on the front of the bike. They're amazing. They're from a company called Colite. The link is in the description. But on this bike, I've had them on the Ducati Desert X before. On this bike, I'm going to wire them all up properly so they work with the overtaking light, it says there, but that's basically your high beam. So when you flick your high beam on, all the lights will come on, and then this is your accessory power which you connect up to stop it draining the battery. And just as a little tip, while I've got the bike apart, I can show you how we're going to wire that in. So this is the accessory wire, which is technically a switched live. And what that means is when you turn the power of the bike on, it actually feeds supply and power to the light module. So it doesn't drain the battery. So when you turn it off, it switches it off. That's the proper way to do it. And then this will be your high beam cable, which is a blue one. And you basically got to find your high beam circuit on your wiring loom. And I found it's all up at the front, but on the 2016 Africa Twin, I pulled out the wiring diagram, and you can actually find out all the little bits you need on the back here. So over here on the right hand side of the bike is the electrical lights relay. So I've just put the blue cable, which is going to go into our Colite LED sort of driver that I just showed you a minute ago. I've just soldered that into one of the connectors there, inside there, so you don't have to cut open any of the wiring loom or anything like that. So that will be our high beam, and I'll wire that nicely there. So when you flick the high beam now, they're going to come on. So just as a sort of, if you've got a 2016 Africa Twin, you're thinking of putting accessory lights on, it's the light relay at the back here, and it is a 6-pin socket, and it's the blue cable in there. If you want to get your high beam, you can just see it there, look. It's the blue one that I've connected it to. So that's that. And then at the back here, you've got this sort of blank, and this is for accessories. And on the Africa Twin, the red and yellow wire here, I've just soldered that into the same one. So I've pulled the pin out. You just stick a screwdriver in the end there, and you can pull the pin out. Then you can actually just solder a new cable onto it, and I'll tuck that back in. You can see there it's just got a little blanking plug. I'll just tuck that back in there. It doesn't do anything, it doesn't connect into anything unless you put your rear accessory loom on. You can buy these, but I was just saving myself 30 quid literally by a quick check on the wiring diagram. And then we'll just run that back to our control unit for the auxiliary lights. And that's it. You've got your high beam, and you've got your switch live to it, which is really handy. So little tip there, if you've got a 2016, great set of lights. I've been using them for a while now. Nothing wrong with them at all. They're really affordable. All the links in the description. But I just thought I'd show you how we do that on the Africa Twin. Now we're just going to put the air filters back in. So we've got the airbox back on the bike, which is a bit fiddly, but these have got like little foam barriers around them to seal it into the airbox. And this is the system that I was talking about earlier. I thought it was really smart because you put the filter in just like this. It's kind of a 2-second job really. It takes no time at all. You just snug it down with these 2 Phillips screws, and that holds the filter in place there. And what I really liked about this system is this is the airbox cover, and it sort of just slides up into the front there. The snorkel goes in the front, you clip it back in place, and then these locator tabs go in there, and it all just sort of snugs together like that. And what I love about this is you're getting the air just coming in the front in the snorkel straight into the airbox. And like I said earlier, it's not getting all the dust and crap from the bike, obviously unless you're following someone, but it just sort of reduces service intervals on the air filters there. And they're not going to get crazy dirty if you go off-road. So I think that's a really good design by Honda. And this gives the bulk of the bike. If you stand up, you can see now where the sort of size of the Africa Twin comes from. These big air sort of boxes on the front there. and that's where all your fairing goes and sort of widens the size of the bike. So we're going to do that, get the tank back on, and then start fitting the exhaust. Just before we start the exhaust, I thought I'd mention these brake pads I'm going to be putting in the bike. These are the EBC HH pads. I've been using SBS dual sinter and dual carbon pads on the race bikes and track bikes. The sinter pads I use on the road, and they're really good, but I thought I'd try a new brand on this bike. This is the EBC HH. So we're going to be putting that in, bleeding all the brakes, clean the pistons. So a good tip for cleaning pistons, get a bit of brake fluid and just put it on a rag like this. And then what you can do is actually just run that all over the piston itself. You know, pump the brake pedal a few times and just get that piston really far out so you can get to all the dirt and grime. I'm going to remove that clip in a second off the top there. But look at that, the piston comes out mint. It's a really good cleaning agent for the pistons on calipers. And it doesn't damage the seals or anything, because obviously they're ready for brake fluid. So yeah, that's a nice little tip there. We're going to do that and then we'll get onto the exhaust. Now this is the bit I've been most excited for on this whole build really. It's the exhaust system from Black Widow. Now as I said earlier, they've been kind enough to sponsor this video and send me a couple of systems, which is actually amazing. So I've actually bought an exhaust from them before, way back in the day when I had a Kawasaki ZX6, when they started the company years ago. So I've used the products, but I just haven't used them since because I haven't really bought many exhausts. A lot of bikes I've bought have had exhausts on them. But we've got this kit here, and this is exciting because everything's in here. We've got loads of stickers, bits and bobs, fixing bits. This is the full system. So we've got full system, and then they've been kind enough to send me 2 cans to test, and I'll be doing an exhaust review on these for sound and stuff like that. But they're pretty similar, so let's start with the short one. Now, I wanted a longer one because my most favourite thing about bikes like this is the sound. You know, when they come out the factory, it's always so disappointing. You ride them and you're a bit like, oh yeah, and then you put an exhaust in it and it just completely transforms the riding experience. So that's what's exciting for me about this bike, these pipes here. And I wanted to work with a company on it, which you know, you could just go straight down your Termi route or your Akrapovic or however you say it. But it's not the same as it, you know, this is all like English made and it's affordable. I hate the thought of spending like £2,500 exhaust. I think it's kind of unreasonable, unless there's like huge performance gains. I'm just not quite sold on it. So I've never been one to buy an expensive exhaust. If the bike comes with it, I'm like, great. Half the time it's been like track bikes. I've ended up crashing them and had to buy a new exhaust anyway, and then gone and bought, you know, an affordable product like this, which kind of makes sense, you know, unless it's terribly built, you can't really go wrong with it. So here's one of the cans. We've got all these clips and fixings. This is the oval 300ml can that they do. Oh, it looks smart. I went for black because we're going all black on this bike, all the black on the stuff, but nice, look at that. That's a nice bit of kit. You know, really well made, welding seams are lovely, it's got a baffle in there, it comes with that. Awesome, man, this is gonna sound wicked. So that's that, I think that looks quite cool. I'd really like the oval cans on Africa Twins with like the little nozzle exit. That's gonna sit down there low. But the only thing for me is it could be a little bit loud. Obviously I wear ear protection when I ride all the time. So it's not like that's a huge biggie for me, but even with ear protection, this one can be a bit too loud. And I feel like it's important to have a loud bike on the road. You want to be heard. I don't think it's antisocial if you don't drive around areas at stupid times. I think it's important that bikes are loud, if I'm honest with you. I don't agree with people that say it's unnecessary. I agree with people that are like, yeah, don't go driving around at midnight, you know, with your down your country road in your village. And if you are, just try and go as slow as you can, you know. But I think for general use, it's important to have a loud pipe. So let's see this one here. So it's well packaged. That's one good thing. Look at that. You've got your little bag there for your can. You've got all the polystyrene. So I wouldn't see how these can get damaged in transport. And this is the round silencer, and this is the larger one, the 400mm.
And I think this is going to go well with the Africa Twin. But as I said, we're going to do another video of all the sound comparisons and stuff like that. So really smart looking kit though. It looks really, really nice. Good quality. Again, welding seams are nice. This one's got a baffle in the end. That's exciting. So we're going to put that on there, and that's going to look really cool with the black and red. It matches the bike. So that is very exciting. I can't wait. Now let's have a little look at the actual main system, because a full pipe gets rid of the cat, you know, so you get that proper sound, and there might be a bit of power gains there. Nice. So you've got your hole there for your O2, is it the O2 sensor, exhaust sensor? Pop that in there. Again, real nice welds. It doesn't look cheap at all. It genuinely does look good. And the owner of this company asked me to be as honest as I can. He said, look, don't go along and make a video and say this stuff's great and it's amazing, it's the best thing. Just be deadly honest. So I've always said I'd be as honest as I can with product reviews and stuff, but yeah, I'm being honest. So I think with this, the test of time will be how well it stands up to durability, you know, does it start falling apart, which looking at it, I find that is going to be highly unlikely to happen. It looks like really well made stuff, and it's made in the UK. So great product there. I'm excited to fit all this. Can't wait. Let's just unbox it all, and I'm going to start piecing together the full system, which we're going to start on the front of the bike, work our way back, and then we'll get that on. Now the final thing to finish this whole thing off is the wheels. We're going to put these back on, and we've got the Metzeler Karoo 4 tyres fitted, and these are beasts. Just look at them, like they're monstrous tyres. They make the bike look absolutely awesome, which is important because if you've got an adventure bike and you've just got normal road tyres on it, they just don't quite look as good, and you've got to admit that. They just don't, and when they've got these beastie tyres and they look really good. And these Metzeler Karoo 4s are the best I've used and actually found. I've tried a few different types now. As a 50-50 tyre, they're fantastic. Really, really good. So great grip on the road. Off-road grip is just fantastic. In pretty much all conditions, if it's real deep mud, you're going to need more of a 100% off-road tyre. But for anything else, these perform unbelievably well. You just lower the pressures a little bit, and they're absolutely awesome. And on the road is the important bit, which I worry about, because I want the bike to look cool, but I also want it to handle well on the road. And this is exactly what these do. They handle so well on the road. Wet grip's good, dry grip, it just doesn't feel like there's a huge difference between the standard sort of road tyre and these, unless you're really pushing hard. So that's a no-brainer, and they just look great, don't they? Now let's get the wheels back on the bike with the lovely Metzeler Karoo 4 tyres. And before we go out for a road test and check out everything and see if we've got rid of that misfire, we're gonna just have a little look over the bike, discuss what we've done and what I think the improvements are going to be, and then when we get out on the ride we can go through it all when the bike's in action, and we can and I'll talk about these tyres as well actually, because I love them. I've obviously just spoke about them now, but I want to I'll chat on the road and we'll see what they're like, do some low speed corners with some full throttle outputs and see if there's any slipping or anything like that in the dry, so you can really see how well these perform. Well, this is it, it's finished. It looks absolutely awesome. I'm properly amazed by how well it's turned out. I love this system from Black Widow. I think that looks absolutely awesome. The black bars on the back here, they've turned out really nice. And that was just a little cheap sort of DIY with some Halfords rattle cans. The bars look great. I've got the lights on. We've got the screen over here. I think that looks fantastic. We'll turn that on so you can see that now. We've got the lights, like I said, wired up to all the switches, so when you click the high beam, they all turn on. I'm absolutely over the moon with it, really. We've got the Metzeler Karoo 4 tyres on there, and they just set this bike up because I absolutely love the look of these knobblies. Now they're on the bike. We've got the new brake pads, full service, new spark plugs, which I'm fingers crossed that stops this little misfire going on. We've done the oil, genuine filters, air filters, and we've cleaned the whole bike, changed the brake fluid, absolutely everything. Oh, and the Honda OEM heated grips, which I'm excited to try out because I've heard a lot about them that they're not very good. So I'm excited to try out the little things. I put a sort of divider over here on the wiring loom, and apparently that helps with the heat. So got that on there. I'm very excited. So let's get out on the bike now and see how it all performs. Right, we're out on the bike and it is amazing. It's so much better
than how it was when I just first got it and it was in its rough form of sort of been sat around, not really looked after very much. And oh man, just being on the bike just feels so much more at home now with these OEM grips. We've got all the new clutch cables, the throttle just works, look at that, it's just flicking back. It feels so smooth. These are a bit thinner than the Oxford grips, and that makes a massive difference to me. I absolutely love that. It's just so much more comfy. And the brakes as well. I've ridden the bike for about 50-60 miles before I stuck this video on. I wanted to get a real good feel for what was going on, and oh man, I've bed the front brakes and look at that. Just on one finger they're just diving down. Really sharp. Not too sharp where it's snatchy, but just got all that power there that the other pads were missing. I mean, they were old, but so that's a good sign to start with there on the EBC double H pads, the sintered ones that we put in. Fantastic. The rear, you know, don't really feel much difference with the rear, because as this has got ABS and it's all switched on, it's as soon as you push hard on it, ABS comes in, so not much to report on that. But it's nice and modular on the rear, it's not too sharp, so highly recommend those pads, they're really good. You know, just going back to the controls and the feel of the bike, it genuinely just feels like a completely different bike now, which I absolutely love, because the Ducati Desert X that I've been using a lot of was so refined and so nice, and this felt a little bit loose when I got on it, and it was a bit sort of, oh no, have I made the wrong choice here? But for $4,500, whatever I paid for it, it's an absolute belter. Because now it's completely mint. Listen to that exhaust, it barks. Yeah, it just feels so good. Everything is nice, and the heated grips are actually quite good. They're on full power. I'm not gonna say they're as warm as the Oxford grips, because they're not. You know, you can feel them, they're definitely warm. What's the temperature out today? 9 degrees, so it's not very cold, and I've got my sort of summer riding gloves on and my hands are pretty toasty, so but I get what people are saying about the grips, that they're not quite as warm as Oxford grips and they don't really sort of pack the punch that they perhaps should. But I prefer the whole OEM spec, and to be honest with you, I quite like the idea of heated gloves for proper winter, because although you get heated grips, the fronts of your hands get very cold if you're doing big journeys in the very cold weather. So I'm quite happy with these, and I like the system and how it looks, so that's cool. What else have we done? The engine, let's go into the engine. That is running spot on. I'm so happy with that. So just a full service, all the air filters changed, and the spark plugs, I'm sure it was the spark plugs, because we had one spark plug that was looking very sort of oily, like it hadn't been, you know, really working too well. So I reckon that had been misfiring a little bit, and that was the problem. And now look, you know, into the national speed limit. Absolutely pulls like a train, sounds great, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. It's responsive as anything, smooth as you like. Oh, I love riding in the wet as well. Bike slides out a little bit, fantastic. So yeah, that's really good. The service cured all that, and the bike's good. You know, as I said, it had no service history, so you kind of don't have any idea when it was last serviced. You're already going off the word that the guy you bought it off said, or the woman, you know, he was like, oh yeah, it's been serviced, I did it, blah blah blah. But you can have a look at the colour of the oil and get an idea from that, but it's always good just to do it yourself. It's only a 60 quid in oil, isn't it? So all filters are done, and it runs absolutely spot on. The tyres, again, these are brand new tyres, they're Karoo 4s. Let's talk about the tyres a little bit that I've put on it. And you know, look, we're turning in here and just loads of grip. We're in the wet here, we're on the 50/50 tyre, I'm giving it full power. Look at how hard I'm pushing this bike. It's absolutely awesome. I love these tyres. I don't understand what anyone could say anything bad about them. They're great. Flat out here, look. No wheel spin whatsoever. So loads of grip. I'm really impressed by these. Very happy with how they turned out. And off-road, I'd love to sort of go smash this off-road now, but I'm not really near any trails, so I can show them off, and that's the most important thing about them really. But if you are thinking about getting the sort of cool look on the adventure bike, and you want a tyre choice, I'd highly recommend the Karoo 4. It's a fantastic tyre. We will do some more off-road stuff and a review on the tyre at a later date, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because there'll be loads more coming up on this bike, because I absolutely love these adventure bikes. We're gonna have a lot of fun, maybe go up north, up to Lake District or something. Moving on, what next? So tyres, we've done the brake pads. What else do we fit to the bike? Clutch cables. Moving on, so the Aoocci screen. Now this is impressive. I absolutely love this screen. It's very good. Look at this. It works exactly as it should. It's a fantastic screen. I'm not sure on the price with my discount code, but it genuinely is peanuts. It's really, really cheap. So if you're thinking about getting one of these on your bike, I'd highly recommend it. I'm going to do a separate review on this as well, but I thought as it's all the extras we've added onto the bike, I'd discuss it now. Look, it's not jerky, it's not glitchy. You can use it with your gloves on. It goes into your modes, your messages. You can go into Spotify there. That will load up. I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic bit of kit. It's awesome. Now, like I say, I haven't used it for that long. It's not been like a 6-month test, so I can't quite make a video yet on the review. I need to get it wet. I need to, you know, put it through its paces. But at face value, this is awesome. So if you fancy sort of dropping 60 quid on something, give it a go, because it works really well. I'm very impressed with it. Screen, obviously we cut this off, did that with the little jigsaw. I love that. It's transformed the bike. You know, we're getting a bit of buffeting, which I can't stand. I suffer with it for some reason. Maybe I'm just a bit weird. But the screen is just fantastic now. So 60, 70, 80, 90 mile an hour, there's no brrr, like vibrating on your head. It's all just clean air. Now, yes, you're going to be exposed to the elements a bit more. You're going to get a bit more rain, a few more bugs, but I prefer it. It's just my personal preference. I love it, and it works much, much better. Moving on to the Black Widow exhaust that we fitted on the bike. Again, I'm going to do another separate full sort of review on that exhaust, but it's fantastic. It's really good. It looks awesome. It's got a sort of goldy colour already. That was just from warming the bike up, so the pipes changed colour a bit. I love that. And I think, as you can hear, that mid-range torque and the sort of bark you get from that lovely 1000cc twin, it's just barking away. It purrs. I think the 400ml can's a really good size. I haven't tried the 230ml can yet, but it sounds decent. It's not too loud. I've got my earplugs in from Ultimate Ear. Link in the description for them. If you need some earplugs, go check it out. They are the best in the business. I absolutely love them. And yeah, I've got those in, and it's not too loud. On the Triumph, the exhaust was so loud, even with earplugs in, after a while, it got a little bit annoying. It was really, really loud. So I'm quite happy with how this is performing. This 400ml can, it's got no baffle in at the minute. And you know, as you can hear, let's give it some revs. It sounds fantastic. I don't think it's added any power to the bike. Maybe a little bit of mid-range. It feels like it's got a bit more punch, but sometimes it's hard to kind of get a feel of, because it's making so much noise. It just naturally feels faster anyway, because it's louder. The exhaust, fantastic. Great system. It looks great. It was easy to fit. It was fantastic. Bit of manipulation here or there, bending a few little bits, but all the mounts line up, so that's all that matters really. And it looks fantastic, and it's just affordable. You know, it's not £2,000. Check the website out, Black Widow exhaust. It's just awesome bit of kit. I can't really fault it, to be honest with you, because it's an exhaust. You know, I mean, it's made well. It's made in Britain. They take their time on it. Their customer service is great. Not sure what else I can say about it really. When we do a full review, I'm sure there'll be a bit more to talk about, but for now, that's the sort of gist I'm getting from that exhaust. Yeah, bit of wheel spin there when we give it a bit of clutch kick. So very happy with how everything's turned out on this bike. Very, very happy. The lights, I can't test the lights. They're great. You know, when you turn them on full beam now, they're going to be, if you can see them down there, yeah, they're all bright. And actually, when I've got them off, they're on orange spec, so they're just on the nice orange colour, which is kind of cool. Where is that? Oh, they're flashing. They've obviously been put in flash mode, but yeah, sort of orange running lights, which I think look really, really good. Oh no, that is flash mode. You've got to turn that off. If you want them on, you have to do that, and that's orange. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so they're great. Orange lights are cool. Running lights, they match these, because these are orange, and they look kind of nice, you know, just going along. It makes the bike a bit more visible to other cars, so they make sense. And at night they're going to be absolutely awesome because I've used them before on the Ducati, and they're just absolute belters in the evening. They really light everything up, so fantastic. Really over the moon with everything on this bike. I'm ready to go and do some trips now. I can't wait. Not sure if I'll get any in before Christmas this year, but next year we're going to do some good ones over to Europe, I think, up to the Lake District up north, some more Wales trips. Very excited about that, and I'm going to do it all on this bike because it's just such a great machine for the money I paid for it. Speaking of money, let's just have a chat about how much all this has cost. So we'll add it up. 4.5 grand for the bike, which I think was a bit of a deal. The exhaust, I had a deal with Black Widow. They've sent that to me because I'm going to do some reviews on it and bits and bobs, so that saved a bit of money. But I think the full system's going to put you in about 450 quid or something like that, which is very affordable. Don't quote me on that. Go check the website out with the exhaust and the link pipe and everything, the decat. It may be a little bit more or less. Yeah, off the top of my head I'm not sure on that. But we've got the grips. You know, I think I paid about 100 quid for them off eBay. Tyres, a couple hundred quid. Full service kit, you know, the bits and bobs, the throttle cable and the clutch cable, that was quite expensive. But I think we're going to be all in between, you know, 5,000 and 5,300, which I still think's great. I've seen a couple for sale for sort of 5.5 with a few nice bits on them, slightly more miles. But now you've got a completely refreshed bike. You know, you've cleaned it all down, you know it. You've taken it all apart, you've done all the little bits you want to do, the throttle cables, clutch cables, all that. It's ready to go. So, oh man, I feel like I've had a great deal here, and I've really enjoyed the project, sorting it all out and making the video for all you guys. So, very happy with it all. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer them if I get the time to get through them. Had a lot of comments on the Triumph video. I'm trying to get through those. Loved all the response on that, so thanks very much. And I look forward to doing some more videos on this bike and getting a review up of the Black Widow exhaust. So shout out to Black Widow exhaust, thank you very much. Shout out to Ultimate Ear for the earplugs because I love them, and I always highly recommend them to all of my viewers, so go check those out. All the links are in the description. As I said, any comments, drop them in the box below, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.